Hey friends, it's Arlie with Bike Shop Girl. And today we're doing something a little bit unique where we are talking with a friend and customer, Nate with New Spin, which is a bike shop in Rochester. And we're going to be talking with him, and then he's going to walk us through his bike shop. It's unique for me because I'm not physically there, so he's going to be handling the camera. But I thought it was such a unique opportunity to dig in with a new bike shop owner that's doing it in new and unique ways and really focused on what his community needs. So, Nate, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. Definitely an enthusiastic turn dealer. Well, I don't know how much in the weeds you want to go, but I bought two turn HSDs from another dealer, not in this area, and liked them so much, and my wife did too, that we decided more people would also probably love these. And everywhere we went, people said, "Where'd you buy it or where'd you rent it?" Like constantly. And can I try it? So we're like, all right, maybe these should exist around here. And so we decided to open a bike shop, and Turn is, I would consider sort of the catalyst for all of it, and has definitely been our number one seller.
That's awesome. And what's fun, Nate, is that's my story, right? Like I had a cargo bike. I got
Mm.
the GSD in to try many years ago, and I was like, this needs to be sold locally. Like nobody else is doing it. I guess I should. So it says a lot about how much you can love a product and believe in it for sure. So you
Yeah.
mentioned you're fairly new because the HSD is only 2.5 years old. So how old's the shop? What just kind of give us your like quick pitch on the shop and what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think you got to rewind a little bit to what am I doing previous to the shop and still doing actually. I have a website and app development company, and we do a little bit of branding work too, and software design and development. And as part of that, I when I was a kid, I promised myself, and I told my parents this repeatedly, I will never have a desk job. And what do you know? I have a desk job. I do computer stuff, and I do enjoy it. But there's definitely a part of me that wants to do something with my hands, that wants to do something active. And I have, um, I'm an idea person, so I'm constantly working on some new idea or thinking about something new. I've always wanted to do another type of business that would maybe be more community or family focused. My other business is pretty abstract. It's pretty enterprisey, and it's hard. Like I can kind of explain what we do, but the average person's like, "Okay, so you're one of those like computer people," and it's not very relatable necessarily. It's also not a business that I can really like hire my kids to start helping with and things. And a bike shop is. There's a whole bunch of reasons, and we can go into more of those. But um, I guess your question was like, how old is the shop, and what are we doing here? So we just it's been a long process. Well, let's see. So it was 2 years ago, about this time of year, when my wife and I and family were on vacation in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, and we brought our turns with, naturally. And anyway, we were just kind of talking, and I was actually kind of complaining to my wife, like, I'd really like to open a bike shop. I think there's a big opportunity. These things are so awesome. More people should know about them. I don't think we'll ever be able to open a bike shop. We don't have the time. We don't have the energy. And she had told me before, because my other business has been around for about 10 years. And she's like, I don't really want you to ever open another business. It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard. And at the end of the day, there's nobody else to like, there's no other boss to say like, well, he'll take care of that or she'll take care of that. It's like, no, you got to take care of it. It's a bigger issue or whatever. But she was on board with this. She agreed with the vision, and she really thought that it would be a great thing. So she told me on that trip when I was complaining, she said, well, why don't you do something about it? And I was like, wait, did you just say we could do this? And she's like, yeah, I think you should do it. So um,
Yes.
I'm a person of action, so I gotta say, like, I started reaching out to brands that night when I was supposed to be sleeping, and I actually placed a couple orders on like a couple like demo things like that literal same night. Um, And yeah, so that was 2 years ago. And then it was in February of, and there's a truck just about to take off my bumper here. I don't know what is happening, but
Estes.
um, this is
I
this is
blame
the bike
Urban
shop.
Arrow. Do you have Urban Arrows coming?
Uh, I don't think they're coming today, but you never know. Yeah, this is the bike shop where I was like, oh, what are we getting today? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nate's sitting right now in the shop van next to the store so that he could have quiet. I love it.
Yeah, so to finish your question, now this is kind of going on long here, but so yeah, it was 2 years ago. So we opened last spring, but it has taken us almost a year to finish construction and get all the city permits and approvals, and which was way more than I thought. I thought, oh, we can retrofit this space, no problem. Well, the occupancy changed, so it was a physical therapy and a rental car company. Well, I thought, okay, that's basically kind of what we're doing. People walk in the door. Nope, it's a different class. Those were classified as offices. So now we have to have a higher density of sprinklers. We have to have a different HVAC system. We have to have just this thing after thing after thing. It's $10,000 here, $15,000 there, $30,000 there. So the renovation is, I've spent somewhere around 175,000 in renovations, which is kind of crazy. That's a house, but it's really nice, and our rent rate is affordable. We really transformed the space. You'll see that a bit, but so this is really our first full season. So
Well, and I
that's
think
the
what's
short
been
answer.
wonderful is like you have the tech background, so your website was wonderful and you were engaging people for the last year. Like you were selling bikes, you were in the community building that. So at least you were
Yeah,
proving your concept as you were also hemorrhaging money on the build out.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have some funny stories about that. We sold our first probably 15 turn bikes when that was the only brand we had, and I had about three bikes set up on the sales floor, and the sales floor was basically 10 by 10 feet inside of like a whole bunch of plastic and like a construction zone.
Yeah.
So I was advertising on Facebook and then just kind of a little bit of word of mouth. And someone would walk in and I would just be totally transparent with people, say, hey, we're still getting set up. I would even show them pictures of the shop, like, hey, here's what it's gonna look like, so they know like that we're actually doing something. This isn't just like some random dude. It looked a little sketchy, but and we only have these couple models set up, and here's why I love the HSD, and I think you should try it. And we sold HSD after HSD with a very pathetic setup. And I had a shop van, and actually that helped people maybe feel more confident too. Like it's fully wrapped and it's got a logo on it. It looks nice. That was actually the nicest thing we had, was the van. And then I did free deliveries for that first year, um, as well for people in town. And then I kind of did a concierge thing where I would go to their house, deliver the bike, remind them how it all works. They would maybe even do another test ride. I would adjust the settings and things so it was just perfect for them. Answer any more questions, and I would even spend like 45, sometimes half hour to an hour, with somebody, and oftentimes they'd buy a pair of bikes. Um, and so it was super low key, but you know, it went pretty good. We did better than I expected, with basically having nothing and two part-time people. It was me for a while, and then we got a part-time mechanic too.
Well, a couple of notes on that though. Like I think your community needs a shop, right? Like that's an important thing. And then two, people can see what you're building and they're probably excited to be part of that and like supporting a new
So,
locally owned business, you know. And it sounds like you gave a really high touch, great experience after they bought these e-bikes.
yeah, yeah, definitely did.
That's awesome. And maybe we should have like a part two for like after the construction's done and we can like post mortem of like what you learned opening a bike
It's
shop.
almost done, actually. We have all of our occupancy. See, don't tell the city this, but but we operated for almost a year without an occupancy permit because there was nothing else I could do. There's literally nothing, and we were trying. but there was just thing after thing after thing that needed approved and reviewed. We have an occupancy permit now. And as soon as we got that, I put up our now open sign outside. But I mean, we are
And
still open.
what would you say like is the most surprising pieces of like, I guess we could talk about two things, like opening a business, but then also the niche of where you're going after.
Yeah. So yeah, I could talk about that. So it's not, this is my second business and I'm still running the other one, and we've got a team over there as well. So a lot of the hard stuff about owning and running a business didn't surprise me at all. Hiring and HR stuff, and what about benefits, and you can just go on and on and on. There's a lot of complexities when you hire somebody. Um, all the tax stuff, all of that we already had figured out and we're used to that. So that helped a lot. Um, I would say the cost of construction definitely added up more than I thought. So if I could go back, I would have been able to use that even to negotiate better with the landlord. Um, what I should have actually done is gotten a full build out, not just an estimate, but a literal, here's what I'm going to want. I want an estimate on these materials, like basically the whole thing, a detailed estimate. And then I would have known. The landlord thought that we could get by without pulling permits because we were just going to do some renovation. Well, um, the change of use was a lot bigger deal than I thought. I didn't even actually know that was a thing at all. So we had a change of use. So it wasn't just we moved some walls and added a few things. The city was like, oh, hold on, you got to change a lot. So you really need to know what kind of use your building was previously at, and you need to do more homework up front. Now you could, yeah, I mean, I guess the thing is, and I go back in my head and think, well, what if we just built out a lot simpler and didn't change as much? Well, technically we still would have had to do all that because it's still a change of use. So again, it goes back to I would have done more homework up front and then use that to negotiate more with the landlord. Now, thankfully, our landlord has been pretty good to us and kind of went um, 50-50 with us on how he didn't help with the build out at all. I still had to pay for all that, but he did take off a few months, give me a few extra free months um, in rent, which is great. So don't be afraid to ask for some help too if you need it. I would say when you're looking around. I mean, we could talk about site selection. I'm super happy with where we picked. We could talk about site selection. We could talk about a lot of things, but I would say the biggest thing definitely is surprising how much it costs to do a build out and change of use. So do your homework so that you're not surprised. This is money I wanted to put into bikes, not build out. I mean, this is something I've observed more broadly in the industry, and I'm sure everybody would kind of nod and laugh. But like, go look around at shops. Most shops, you're kind of like surprised that people are like buying stuff. Like they're just a mess, front
Yeah,
and
they're
back.
not like retail experiences. They're
No,
just
so my whole vision with this was like, okay, if we're gonna open a shop, I want it to be like a really nice experience. I want it to be like you're shopping in a nice store at the mall, kind of a thing. And so we did go a little bit more over the top than you would maybe need to, but that's all just kind of part of the vision of what we wanted to do. And I think you had a part two question, but I don't remember what it was.
no, no, it's okay. So let's say someone found this video because they're looking for Rochester bike shops. Um,
Yeah, in Minnesota, by
what?
the way, not New York.
Yeah, Minnesota. That's where Mayo is.
Yeah, so Rochester, Minnesota is home of Mayo Clinic. There's like 35,000 employees at Mayo, and the town
Yeah.
is only 15,000. This is a pretty small town, um,
All
relatively
right.
speaking.
I'll put that in the keywords for you.
There
Mayo
you go.
Clinic Bike Shop. Um, so if somebody's finding this because, they're in Minnesota, what makes your shop different? Like you know, I know it because I've been following your story and it's beautiful and I've gotten to know you via email and being a dealer, but what makes Newspin special? Like why would you go to your shop and what are you doing for your community?
Yeah, I visited a whole bunch of bike shops, and I was shocked at um, somewhere between disappointed and shocked in general at a number of things. One is just I felt like the most bike shops have a fairly mediocre um, just shopping experience. And then maybe even more importantly than that, I've been repeatedly disappointed by the customer service that I've had at shops. It's either folks that are like really biker, like really good at all this stuff and can't really connect with the normal person. I consider myself more of a normal average person who just happens to like bikes, especially e-bikes, cargo bikes. Um, and so I didn't really connect very well with some of those folks. And then other shops where the wage is quite low and they don't really train their people and their turnover is really high. And you walk in and you ask like, hey, so what's the torque on this bike versus that one? They have no idea. They like I would walk into the shops and usually I knew more than the salespeople did. And I'm like, I just started in this industry like 6 months ago. Um, in fact, that was before I even opened a shop. So I was basically just like doing research online. So I don't know. I was definitely disappointed by that. I just felt like I think that a shop could do a lot better if it paid their people a little better, trained their people a little better, spent more money on infrastructure, looked at this more of like a real business. Like I'm actually hoping that we launch more locations. That's on our roadmap. But you really have to look at it as a business, and you really need to think about all aspects of it and really elevate it. I think shops could do much better on average.
COVID has made that apparent, like it really pushed some folks out of business, unfortunately, or like really grinding them harder because they didn't have the operations or the people
Yeah,
in place to support it.
yeah. I mean, so you even think about this. I consider our shopping experience a recruiting tool. So we have had a surprising number of job applicants recently because people that are into bikes want to work at the cool new bike shop, and we probably pay, from what I hear, we pay more than the other shop. And so like those little things, actually, it's all connected. So, you can't like have disconnected parts of your business. It's really all connected.
And because you have, I would say, a tech company, like what adults and professional people want to make and how they want to be treated. And I think that's a really unique thing to bring to the table where if you came up in the bike industry, like if you're watching this and you don't work in the bike industry, like there's a lot of bike shops that don't pay insurance, and you don't have benefits. And for full-time hire and managers, like just nobody's offered those things across the board. And you might be making 12 to $15 an hour. And so it's
Or
hard.
literally like nine at a couple shops in town.
Oh gosh. Like how do
Yeah,
you live, but also how do you retain and recruit
you,
people?
you can't. And
Yeah.
here's the thing that I think about too, and this is part of my business thesis with doing what we're doing. I think that one of the things that makes our shop unique from a business standpoint, and one of the things that makes us more sustainable, is our average ticket price is actually quite high, like multiple thousands of dollars, because we sell quite a few e-bikes. Um, that actually helps us be able to afford paying our people a little more.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm like super picky, as picky as I can about like what margins and where are we buying stuff from. And I've been surprised, repeatedly surprised, like, oh, you can get um, I don't know, a Shimano chain or whatever from multiple sources. And then I realized, oh wait, I could just go straight to Shimano. Oh look, my margin just got a whole lot better.
Hmm.
And so you can think about all the little things that chip away at your profitability are really important, because every time you chip away at that, you're less able to afford a nice shop, better pay, etc. So I think there's actually, in my observation, I think there's quite a few shops that are barely existing and barely paying the bills and and barely paying their staff, and it's just, again, it's kind of all connected. So I don't know, for some shops I don't know that they can even afford to pay more.
Hmm. Yeah, because the whole system is broken.
It's
Interesting.
like, well, you ask them for a raise, and it's like, well, I don't really have that extra money to have, so you know, um, they're kind of stuck.
Hmm. Well, and I think part of this, and we don't have to get into the weeds on this one, but part of it is if your business is focused on selling $300 to $600 hybrids, you know, at no matter what your margin is, it's still not going to pay for the space, the people building it, the insurance, all of those
That's right.
things. So,
That's
you know,
right. Yeah, and yeah, I 100% agree with that, and that's I'll just, for lack of a better term, I'll say most of the traditional shops kind of operate in more of that sort of realm. And I think that those are great options to offer people. It's not that long ago that I was a completely broke college student. I know what it's like to have like no money and not be able to afford nicer stuff and more expensive stuff. So, we're trying to serve those folks too. And we do have some of those bikes, but it's definitely not a focus. We've got a lot more larger sales.
and this is a topic that I have with shops that haven't really approached or appreciated e-bikes yet, where it's like e-bikes are it's almost hard to describe. Like it's almost like a new type of shop. And this is a
It is.
conversation that I've had with Karin at the New Wheel, which is an e-bike specific shop and one of the
Yeah.
best probably in the world. Um,
Yeah. New Wheel's
but
awesome. I haven't ever met them or talked to them, but I kind of watch what they do and Propel.
yeah, and so the New Wheel's very experience focused, very community focused. Like they don't sell things online. Like but they're still thriving and growing because their experience
Yeah.
matches that of, the $4,000 to $15,000 e-bikes that they're selling. And I think that's a shift from a normal bike shop where it might be recreation or sport driven, and it's not
Yeah.
transportation or car trip replacement or, just that higher end premium experience that e-bike
Yeah.
users sometimes require, not always, but um, you know, I think we could talk about this forever, but
Yeah.
Nate, I wanted to show folks.
All right. Well, I'll show you the outside first. So here is the front of Newspan. Okay, so I'll show you a couple details here quick. If anybody's thinking about a shop, we just installed these bollards because I am quite concerned that somebody's going to drive a truck straight through this glass and steal a bunch of stuff. Um, I've seen it done in videos, and I don't doubt it'll happen again. We also installed this is like shatterproof stuff called defense light on our doors. Nobody will get through that. You could hit it with sledgehammers repeatedly. And then I also installed clear film on the windows that is pretty much shatterproof. You'd really have to work hard to get through that. And we've got security systems and other stuff too. So been thinking a lot about those things. There's a few things that are not where they're supposed to be in here, but overall, it's put together. You'll probably see some turn bikes right there, right now, actually. Some GSDs. So yeah, I'll just kind of walk around and show you. So we're trying to organize stuff. We're still getting organized here, but we're trying to organize stuff by category. So our most popular bikes in the shop, right in here, and they're cargo bikes. And then we put like larger cargo bikes over here, some urban aero stuff, Beno stuff. We've kind of put mountain bike stuff here for now. And then you got helmets, and we've got customer reviews kind of rolling on that TV there. Behind the front desk, we can go up there. Have a Reese and Mueller Load 75 here, which is an awesome bike. We here's the part of the mess. We don't even have a front desk finished yet, but we've still been selling quite a few bikes. The top goes on the desk next week. Trying to get a contractor to do that has been challenging. Everybody's busy. Then on the TVs, I've got them set up. I used a system called OptiSigns, which has been fantastic, which hooks up through a Amazon Fire Stick. Anyway, I can control all the content of these, and so we've just got like service pricing and stuff. And I use the same setup for displaying YouTube videos and different reels on those TVs. So front desk, and then we've got kind of a feature wall here. Our beautiful logo is lit up. And yes, I put turf on the wall, and I love it. Um, and you can see we've got some stuff that just got put in the way, it looks like 5 minutes ago. That needs to get out of here. This is kind of our turn corner right now and needs a little tidying up, but pretty good. And then we've got a bunch of turn folding bikes and similar bikes here. Accessories. So, and then here is TerraTrike. They've been doing quite well for us as well. Yeah, as far as brands, I've really tried to focus on, you can see we got like some ergon grips here. Try to focus on quality stuff. Like what's the stuff that I would want to buy if I was shopping? And some of it's expensive. It's not all expensive, but it's all nice stuff. Like I really want people to walk in and when they buy something here, I want them to be able to trust, here's some Osprey stuff. I want them to be able to trust that we did our homework on what quality stuff is so that when they buy something here, kind of like you go shop at REI, you trust that they did their homework and you're not going to have to do your own homework to figure out, is this a good product or not? And there are inevitably some items in the shop that we will probably not stock next year, or that we might just get rid of, that like the quality just wasn't kind of up to our standards. All right, so that's kind of the front. I'll show you this light again because I'm pretty excited about it. This is just sort of a creation of ours. It's just kind of bolted together. It weighs a lot. It was the cheapest way, actually. I don't know if I can get the whole thing even in the view, but it was the cheapest way to fill a big space with light. And we made it look like a bicycle spoke, and our name is New Spin, so it kind of all fit together, and had some fun with that. We did spend a little bit more on lighting than you'd have to in a bike shop, but I really wanted it again to be kind of a premium experience. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell, but these things aren't cheap. As soon as everything goes like commercial, it's all expensive. We've also got Sonos speakers that blend in nicely, and they're off for whatever reason. So I need to actually get our sound system back on. But we've got some nice background music. We're actually using it's called Sound Machine, which is a commercially licensed music player. So we can play like some nice like background music in here, and again add to that experience. All right, I'm gonna walk around the back now. We're running out of space, so here's a TerraTrike in the hallway by the bathrooms. That shouldn't be there, but what else are we gonna do? Yeah, so we've got restrooms. We do have a fitting room that's just, well, more of a dressing room. That, as you can see, has also got bikes in it. These are gonna be picked up.
Bike dressing room. That's where you dress your bike.
Yep. Yeah, there it is. So that'll be set up soon, and this is a really nice mirror that's like edge lit that'll be in here. Going into the workshop, authorized personnel only. So here's what it looks like. Yep, it's a bit messy, but it works, and we're getting there. We've got a computer in the back too for the shop team to be able to look up stuff. They could even, they can scan products in as they're adding it to service tickets and things. We've got a Mac Mini running this one, and we've kind of got Macs here throughout, which has been nice.
Are you using Lightspeed?
We are using Lightspeed. Yep.
Cool. So for everyone watching that's not in the bike world, Lightspeed's one of the more popular point of sales here in the US that runs off the cloud. So if you have a computer with internet, you can access all of your information as a bike shop.
Yeah, and Lightspeed is nice because they've got a lot of integration with other bike companies and things like all the giant bicycle inventory. So we've got a lot of brands in the shop. In fact, I think we have too many brands, but we will narrow that down here in the next year or two. It's nice to have a lot of brands right now because inventory is so tight that you kind of need to get what you can get in some ways. I'm just kind of showing a bit more of the back in here. Then we kind of loop back around. Here's the front. And then we kind of have these like restaurant style swing doors.
How many square feet is it?
This is 4,300 square feet. It is a shout out actually to a guy named Brian Hawkins. Brian Hawkins really helped me a lot He is a shop kind of design consultant out of Colorado, and he's helped design bike shops before, even for some big name brands. So he helped me know, like, oh, you should have, um, like 60, what did you tell me? I think 40% retail, 40% storage, and you have like 20% of extra stuff of, just restrooms and other things or something like that. So he helped me like just figure out proportionally what made sense. And my original space that I was going to actually rent out was going to be too small. And he showed me that and proved it to me, which was a good thing I didn't do it because we literally would not have been able to operate in that space. I didn't think about how much space bikes take up. You can see it is quite full in here. We've got, this is really, you can see where the wall used to be right here. So this was two separate units, long, skinny units, and we kind of combined them together. And so now we have kind of a big square in the back and a big square up front. The garage doors are awesome for loading. I'm kind of going up onto the mezzanine. We built a mezzanine. These things, these projects do kind of snowball. So we kind of did add more and more.
And some of this, again, just to add commentary as maybe people are looking at this, the bike industry hasn't had inventory. So, like, my guess is in a normal year, Nate wouldn't be this full. But right now, you're kind of taking inventory whenever it becomes available and sitting on it because it might be months and months before
Yeah,
it becomes available again. And that's everything from bikes to tires to clothes. So, that's one of the parts.
absolutely.
And we're also going into the spring, so a lot of times you're gonna, like, stock up for the spring, make sure you
Yep.
have full
Yep.
size runs, colors, things like that, and then
Yep.
ideally you're whittling down, at least the recreation and sport bikes into the fall. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nate, I think, for me, it's been so fun because I've seen it from, like, you sent blueprints when I first started. Like, "Hey, what do you think of these mock-ups?"
I
You
think
know
I did. I'm not afraid to ask people like questions and stuff because I mean, I didn't know. So feedback's been great.
Yeah, and, like, the other parts, and we didn't talk about this, is just, like, how much time and effort, you know, you're eager and you're hungry, but you're also, like, passionate, right? So, it's this mix of pulling your past experiences of being a business owner, knowing about marketing, knowing about
Yeah.
experience and engagement, and applying it to an industry that maybe doesn't always think and act that way. Um,
Yeah.
so I think, I can't wait for, like, maybe this winter, to well, actually, I'm not gonna visit you in the winter, I'm sorry. I will wait until it's nice, to be able to visit and be like, you know, it takes, I would say from my experience in new locations, like 2 seasons to truly nail down, like, where things go, what
Yeah.
product you need, what you don't need,
We do
and then
have
have
a
time for the projects.
we
Yes,
got a
parts and backstock.
bathroom, parts, helmets, turn stuff. Um, yeah, we're loaded, but this has been nice too to have this little back room. Um, so yeah, then there was the stairs up.
And scrap wood. You might need that.
Yeah, well, yes, scrap wood, because there's probably like $200 of wood right there at the
Do you
current
have a
prices.
forklift? Do I see a forklift?
I do. We bought a pallet stacker, also a good idea. The previous owner or previous, well, he is still the owner of the building, but he was using this space. He had a powered pallet stacker in here and he doesn't need it anymore. And so he said, would you like to buy it? And let's see, we lost
There
video
we
there.
go.
Anyway, he asked if I would like to buy it, and I said, well, how much? And he's like, oh, I'll give it to you for 2,500, and I just put new batteries in it. And I did the homework, and I was paying, this is another thing you learn. I was paying like $100 to $150 oftentimes per delivery for the truck driver to use the lift gate off their truck. So I called all of our shipping companies and said, please quit charging us a lift gate fee. I bought a pallet stacker. And so the $2,500 spent with the number of deliveries that we have should pay for itself within the first year. And then after that, it's bonus. So, and it also goes up fairly high. You can lift stuff up to the mezzanine, although we don't really have space to do that.
Well, just, from like hauling lots of boxes, like it's just good for your staff, especially e-bikes. They are heavy.
Yeah, yeah, they're heavy, and then you get a whole pallet of them, and they don't move very easy.
So Nate, we'll see what questions come up. I'm sure there'll be lots of questions because, you know, the bike industry needs people like you. So hopefully they ask lots of questions and want to learn from you.
Well, I'd love to help if I can, but yeah, I'm still definitely learning a lot too, and it's been quite a process. I mean, I'm just looking at like these wood panels right here. It looks nice. You wouldn't believe how many hours we spent just trying to figure that out. And like, oh, like, something's easy to just design on a computer, but how are we actually going to build that? How are we actually going to finish that? How are we going to attach it? How do we make it look right? So,
Yeah, so many hours, days, months. Awesome.
little
Well,
Halo thing.
Nate, oh, there we go. That's a good way. That's a good place to end. So, Nate, thank you for joining us. Everyone else watching, thank you so much. Let us know if you have any questions for Nate in the comments below.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.